Alright guys, it's your boys Otaku Phil here. Um, Want to talk about the process of becoming a Greyhound driver and what you're going to go through to finally be able to drive on your own. Um, I don't think I've done one of these videos, so I'm just going to take you through a brief step-by-step. So you've got basically about three phases that you're going to deal with once you decide to apply to become a Greyhound driver. First thing you're going to do is the first phase, and that's going to consist of you bringing in a cop or applying. Typically, you'll get scheduled for an interview. It'll be automatic, so if you're like, I applied, and how long does it take to get back for them to get back with me? It's typically automatic, typically pretty quick, unless you put something in the application that would exclude you from being a driver. For example, saying that you have a felony or DUI in the past few years. That'll automatically exclude you from being able to apply. The next thing is once you get your automatic appointment, they're going to have you come in. You're going to have to get a printout of your DMV record for the past 10 years. In California, they kind of changed it. It used to be I think it's like the M4 or some shit like that. Now it's the K4. So they no longer do 10 years. So for California, they just accept, the K4, because this is just a basic deal that you're going to bring in for them to look at. Because later on, they're going to do a full DMV background check on their own end, and that's done through like Texas. So, it does. If you think maybe you're going to bring in some fraudulent deal, it doesn't matter. They're going to look anyway. So you're going to sit down and do your interview. You're going to look at your driver's license. You're going to bring your social security card and your they're going to give you a little printout. And basically, if you pass the interview, which you should, they just look for basic customer service and that you meet the minimum requirements. And you get what's called a conditional job offer. And a conditional job offer is basically just a paper that tells you that you understand what it means to be a Greyhound driver and working on the extra board and all that stuff, and that you want to proceed with the process, and you give them permission to go ahead and run your background and your records and all that good stuff. So once you fill out that paperwork, you submit it, they're going to go ahead and start your background check. Now, I get this question all the time. How long is your background check? It depends. If your background is pretty clean, your DMV is pretty clean, I've heard it be as little as 2 weeks. It took me, I think, like 3.5 weeks, give or take, for me to finish all my stuff, because I lived in multiple states. They wanted to check everything. So that can take a minute. If you can always call and ask for the status, and they get like a percentage status. So once you get, I think it's around 70% of your background check and your DMV cleared, they're going to send you to go get your medical. Once you pass your medical, you can go get your learner's permit if you don't have that already. So this is all the saying, let's say you don't have your license. If you have your license, the only thing you can do is just, show them your license and your medical, and then they'll proceed with the background check. But if you don't have your license, which you don't need to, you can get your commercial license from Greyhound, which is a great thing. They're a training school. Once you have your learner's permit and you get your medical, once your background is checked, you're going to come in and they're going to schedule you for your school. Now, the school runs, I think, around 4 times a year. They may change it. So don't quote me to that. I know they've gotten to the new accelerated stuff. So if you have your license already, they accelerated a bit. So it may be different for you. But when I was doing it, they were only holding the schools about 4 times a year. I think it was like twice at the end of the year, twice at the beginning of the year. And they were in different locations. So, if At the time they were doing LA. I think now they moved LA to Phoenix, and they're going to be doing Phoenix for a bit. They used to do Reno, but they moved from Reno. So everything's constantly changing. So you're going to do your school. Now, before you start your school, they're going to give you a login with your basic driver information, and you're going to get some homework, which is called the modules. You got 2 modules. So before you can start school, or before the start of school, you have to finish the first module. And the first module basically consists of, basic stuff, basic customer service, basic bus safety, basic, basic shit. And each section you have a mini quiz, which is going to consist of anywhere from 2 to 5 questions, and you basically just keep going until you get all the questions right, and then it moves you on to the next chapter. But you have what's called a mastery test. So each module, you have 2 modules, and each module has a mastery test. Now the mastery test has is a compilation of all the sections that you covered, and you only get 2 times to take the first mastery test and the second mastery test. If you fail the mastery test twice, you can't go to school. They kick you out. It's real basic, so you shouldn't be failing it, but in case you just, have a hard time remembering, it can be kind of boring, kind of drawn out, you have, there's one easy tip to pass the mastery test. Take the first mastery test, and if you fail the mastery test, do not go on to the second mastery test. Don't waste your time reviewing all the bloody chapters. Just go down to the bottom of the first mastery test and select review questions. Once you review questions, it will tell you every question you got right and wrong, and it'll give you the correct answers for the questions you got wrong. Plain and simple. Take notes for each question that you got wrong, or each question you weren't sure about, and it will give you the correct answer. Now, the important thing is when you retake the second mastery test, or the first mastery test, the questions aren't going to be in the same order, so pay attention to which question it was, and the answers aren't going to be in the same order. So, if you got question A wrong and the answer was 1, it's going to be put in a different slot, and that answer is going to be in a different place. So pay attention. So don't just, think, oh, answer 5, question A, answer 5, and that's the answer. No. Think, what is the you want to write down the question, or take a photo of the question, whatever floats your boat, and put down the answer, because the answer is what you want, not the number. And you should be able to pass it. You only got to pass it by like a 70%. The first time I took it, I think I got like an 81%, and then I went and reviewed the questions that I got wrong, and then I went ahead and did it a second time, and I got like a 98%. I just wanted that higher score. You only need to pass it, so don't kill yourself trying to get a high score. So once you finish that, you start school, And again, I'm going to answer this question I get all the time. They pay for your lodging in school if you do not live within a certain mileage of that city where the school is. They will transport you home to the school and home. So in LA, we had a good number of people from Texas, and they flew them over from Texas into LA, and then they flew them home. They put them up at a hotel, and they gave them a weekly stipend. So for me, because I lived in LA, they just gave me a weekly stipend, a higher weekly stipend for commute, and it was just basically like $100 a day, and you get paid, every couple of days, and it varies. Like the first time we got our first check, like 3 days after, and then we got a check at the end of the week, and then it was like every beginning of the week or like middle of the week. It was weird. We got a check, and they give you a little Com Data card, and the Com Data card is they load the money on there. They provide lunch. They give you free lunch coupons and stuff. We had a cafeteria that we went to, so we just ate there. They give you They don't give you a shirt and pants. You got to bring your own black pants, black shoes, and white shirt. But they do provide black shoes. So they did provide black shoes to people. If you don't have any black shoes, they do provide ties, and they give you a vest, and they also give you all your school gear. So they give you pens, papers, pencils, rulers, all that good stuff, everything that you're going to need. So the only thing you're going to need to really bring is yourself, your dress pants, dress shirt, and you know, be ready to learn. So that's the first phase. I'm gonna jump. This was already a 10-minute video, so I'm gonna go ahead and chop it up, and I'm gonna create a second video